Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Hey everybody, welcome yet again is the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff Cardozo here with you, Papa Claus.
That's right.
Alongside Jameel Muhammad as we give you a Christmas holiday edition. Lots to different things to talk about, certainly a lot to be thankful for in 2024, and then we want to look ahead into 2025 because as I've learned, and hopefully you've learned from watching, this hobby industry is absolutely insane, and I think for me, that's the neatest part about all of this, just the education aspect, the understanding of what cards are, what to look for, how to find them, where to go about, and really, Jameel, just how great the people are in this industry. I think that's my biggest take from 27 of these episodes in is just everybody you talk to loves, obviously, what you're doing, but just in general, everybody is so nice. There's not wars. There's not people fighting with each other. They all, when it's said and done, want to help out kids, communities, and all these other things, and it's just been awesome so far.
They do exist. We just don't bring those guys on. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Jeff, and to everybody out there. It's a sweet time. I think for a lot of people, it's kind of a time to stop for so many. There's chaos of the holidays, but stopping work or leaving or traveling, and so you kind of start to think about just this year, and it has been a wild year for the hobby. This is the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, right? We decided to start this back in early summer, and we've continued on, and we're going to keep trekking on through 2025. This episode will be a little different. We don't have a guest today, but we're going to have a fun recap, and I want you to stay tuned through segment 2 because we're going to actually share some holiday cheer and do some giveaways and some presents that maybe some of you all can win out there. So we'll share that. So stick around for that. We'll have information on that, but in regards to the hobby, man, I think, moving forward into this year, this upcoming year, there's a lot of changes happening, and I think we've brought a lot of people on this show to talk and discuss, just what they think regarding, the hobby, where they're at, where they think, their business may be going, where their brand, their card, whatever it might be. But we're going to see a lot of changes, and next year is the beginning of some people call it the Empire taking over in Star Wars. So it's Fanatics taking over a lot of the licenses, and so that's going to lead to a lot of changes. You're going to see the dropout, I think, of the Panini products. You're going to see more focus on these NBA and NFL licenses that Fanatics will be taking over starting next year. The word monopoly comes up a lot in the hobby. That's happening. And so, we're seeing those kinds of things. And there's also this big trickle-down effect in that. So I think you've noticed it. The one pro I would say moving into 2025 is you're going to see a lot more people in the hobby.
Yeah.
Kids, families. You've probably been marketed to just more than you've ever been. You're watching, football games or basketball games and hearing a Fanatics, ad. So, I think, just from that aspect, you're going to see more people in that. Thinking about that, Jeff, like as you've been somebody who's been around the hobby from the 90s to the 2000s to 2010s to now the 2020s, how does that change for you? Like you've seen it all. I know you've been in and out of it. But when it comes to all these kids and people that you're seeing in the hobby, is it exciting to you, or is it more one of these things where you're like... Yeah, no,
I think that's the coolest part because as a kid you have this perspective of, hey, I bag groceries at Publix and I've got my $20, I'm going to go buy a pack at Walmart or something like that. And I didn't really have that local card shop to be able to go in and enjoy, and I think that's what I really enjoy about seeing what you do here locally because I took my kids in, when they were little, and we kind of get to know each other and be a part of that. I think, the one thing is obviously it's different. I think there's some kids now that, it's not $20 anymore. Yeah. $20 doesn't even get you a pack these days when that's getting you boxes and all these different things. So I think that's changed a little bit, but then you understand it for the people that, might get that big hit or how it can change a life or do something differently. The 87 Topps Barry Bonds cards, rookies I have are, $30.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's like, I think that's changed a lot. And I think the cool part is too, you now see like when Javi Lopez came on or Brady Singer or some of these professional athletes that we've had come on, how excited they are to have their own card. Like I don't ever remember realizing that. I think you looked at pro athletes in a different perspective way back then, but now all these kids, so to speak, and that have turned into adults and great players and athletes, they now just enjoy being a part of it and collecting with their kids and doing those types of things. So I find that fascinating. And the Fanatics thing is interesting because, you wonder, from say the golf industry or whatever industry, there's always guys that produce the Titleist golf ball, the Scotty Cameron putter, and then they branch off to a different company, and now they try to bring in new ideas to this. It seems like that's kind of what Fanatics has done. They found some guys throughout the industry to say, hey, this is a great idea. This is a great idea. You put it all together, and now you have just this fascinating experience for so many people that everybody gets involved in. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny you were mentioning the athletes, feeling like a kid again with their card. I just thought we were sitting across from Ryan Lochte last week, and as he talked about cards, you could just see this little kid come out of him, right? Fun. That was episode 27. Make sure you guys go check it out. But with all the pros that there is, and there's a lot of pros for expansion. There's a lot of pros for bringing people into the hobby, and I think we're going to see even more of that in 2025. More people getting involved, athletes to kids in schools, to grandparents getting back in the hobby, to dads getting involved. You're also going to see some changes on the industry side, the infrastructure side. Fanatics is this massive company, right?
Yeah.
Billion dollar company, $20-30 billion estimate or whatever it is, and you think a little bit about, how does that change? They've been able to create fan apparel for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And so, there's an interesting thing that's really been in discussion for a while now, and that's distribution of product. And so what we're starting to see, and I think in 2025, we're going to see this even more to the nth degree, but the removal of distributors, So distributors are people who, they kind of middleman, they take in all and they get stuff out, they have sales reps. You guys know how distributors work.
Sure.
But in sports cards, distributors, sports cards has been their bread and butter, and it's been huge for them. And what we've really seen is Topps said, we don't need you guys. And you're seeing the distributors, and I'm not going to go by naming all of them out, but they're starting to really struggle. They're dropping out. If they do have product, it's way more than you buy from Topps Direct. They don't have much of it. They're complaining. They're upset. And so you're taking kind of a lifeblood away from this distribution that Fanatics is going to take over. They don't need the middleman anymore. They cut them out. And now you're seeing that trickle-down effect affecting Pokemon, affecting One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh!, TCG, all supplies. You're seeing it affect all things. And people will say to me in the shop, like, oh, there's no way Fanatics taking affect Pokemon. It's like, no, it's already happening. Yeah. Like, there was a release that just came out. It was called Surging Sparks, and there's another one called Prismatic Evolutions for Pokemon. Huge releases, Jeff. Like, the last year, we've never had this much excitement about Pokemon. And then people are saying to me, like, well, how much are you going to get over the next release? Can we put our pre-orders in? And I tell the guys, like, I don't think you realize, like, my allocations are now being cut in Pokemon simply because these distributors now have to hold on to that money and that profit side to stay afloat. So they're going to give less to the shops. They're going to give less to the general public, and they're going to hold back some of that. So that's the tricky part in moving forward is as you have these pros with Fanatics, you also have these cons with Fanatics too, taking over. And it's going to affect a lot of people in the hobby. And unfortunately, the end user, the collector like you and I, is always affected because the price goes up, and it's just not fun.
So I guess with all this talk, it's fascinating. You sit there and you wonder because, I'm sitting there late night when I can't fall asleep and you guys are doing the breaks and it'll pop up on Twitter or X, I guess as they call it now. And, I'll sit there and I'll watch and it seems like that's kind of become what it is. So we talk about wax a lot, certainly, and I still have that nostalgia of wanting to open a box. And when we did it a couple of weeks ago, and you get a cool card, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" So you still have that, but you wonder if it's getting so specific, and you're just looking for a card, and I want so and so from let's just say I want a Soto.
Yeah.
Gosh, can you believe that contract?
Yeah, that's a whole.
That's we'll do it. Yeah.
Almost $1 billion. I mean, think about that, right?
So 22 Major League Baseball teams were sold for less than that contract. Like, that's insane.
That's a wild.
To think about what that, and I think we've seen at 41. Although I'm older than 41, I still got it. So he might still have it at 41. But you just wonder now: is that online breaking, or are the live stuff maybe more what people are into because you have that chance of say, hey, I don't want to spend X amount of money on a wax box or whatever it is, and I want to try for that one card of that one player. Do we see the industry maybe shifting more to that in 2025.
Yeah, a good example is just last week with Bowman Draft. Extremely expensive coming out the gates with the pricing. You're looking at $575, $600 for a jumbo box, $700 for Breakers of Light, and almost $1,000 for the Super Jumbo. These are prices that out the gates we've never seen before. So, in town, people want Jack Caglione.
Mm-hmm.
They want to buy it, but they don't want to buy a box and not get it. So what they've been doing, they've been telling me, and I tell them, it's like, go find the breaks and, Timbuktu and these other breakers that don't have a following, and see if you can pick up Caglione's spot, the Kansas City Royals spot, for $500 or $300 or whatever it might be. And some people, found that. So I do think you're seeing the shifts. You're seeing a smarter consumer base. There's always going to be the tangibility of walking into a card shop and having, an urge to rip, is what people would say, right? So not rip a fart, but rip a box, right? That's what people are always coming in to do, is they're always looking at the wax wall. So that's always going to be there. But the breaks, and I think those kinds of things are, offering more opportunities. I think you have live sales. You have the apps like Whatnot and Fanatics Live and TikTok Shop and all these things that are, growing to the nth degree. We have an organic following on Instagram that we've grown, but we also use those other platforms as well, because it just brings in more customers and different customer bases. But the cost of wax is definitely a major issue moving into 2025. And I would say, as people are getting burned by boxes, I've had this conversation more so in the last 3-4 months than I like to, but a lot of people are saying to me, Jameel, like, I'm not going to be buying as many boxes.
Yeah.
It just, the return is not where it once was. And my response to them is, I get it. I think for you, looking at how you open wax, is it a ROI type thing? Because if that's the thing, you need to come in and say, what's the best return, to card shop. And I know I could point you to whatever sport. Or if you come to card shop, I want to have fun and have a chance to hit a Paul Skeens debut patch auto. Yeah, that's going to be.
Still has not been hit.
It still hasn't been hit, right? That's a lot of gambling aspects of it. But at the same time, there's a way to do that. So you kind of have to know, when you come into a card shop now, those kind of parameters. And I think there's still an era of people that think, you buy a box, you're going to get that much money or more, and that's that's definitely an old facade, definitely pre-COVID way of thinking. And so, moving forward, I think cost of wax is going to determine a lot of things. Now, Fanatics has a job to do on that side too, right? Because they're the ones pricing it on the allocation side, and what we're getting as shops is we get an initial run, and then there'll be like a wave 2 run where they'll then say, all right, well, market is this price, we'll sell it to you for close to market price, which was way less than what we just bought it for, but it's available so you can still have it, but there's way less margin. So, and that's just kind of business in general, but thinking through that, it's going to have to become a science to them, and they've got to figure it out, because I know they've missed a lot on certain things, and I think we're seeing that with Bowman Draft, is that price went down this week. I've had a lot of stagnant prog on the Super Jumbo and on the Breakers of Light. The Jumbo seems to be the one people like because it's a little bit more affordable. You get 3 autos, but it's just one of these things that we have to kind of address as a hobby and say where are we going? Is it only going to be a hobby for people that are upper middle class? I don't want to see that. I want to see everybody involved in the hobby. So
yeah, that's the way it should. And speaking of being involved, I know you did great in the Black Friday stuff, and more sales than ever, and people all over the place. Like, what is it like on a daily basis, especially over the holidays, like ship stuff out?
Yeah.
Is it like crazy in the back room? Like, what's going on? Like with all that stuff in the shop.
Yeah, so shout out to all the guys at the shop with, Tim and Joe and Justice, but really Jeff and Meredith have been kind of hunkering down. They're kind of the shipping team. And so, it's fun at our shop. People will always say to us, well, when's this going to get shipped? And will it be a week or two before it gets shipped? It's like, no, like we have a team of people. We have an operation, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that's one thing you can have with legitimate card shops and brands is they have operations and teams set up for this. Whereas it's not just one person in their house trying to ship everything, and they're staying up till 4 a.m. and they're missing the sort or whatever. So it's been crazy. Every day, I haven't done the numbers, but I would say on average we're shipping anywhere between 50 to 150 different things out in shop, packages that is. Could be more depending on the sales. I know that over Black Friday weekend there was just 150, on the Friday, or 250 just on TikTok. So there's a lot of things that goes on throughout these weekends. It's wild. But the LCS, the local card shop, and this is something I think moving forward into 2025 is very, very important, is I think you have to pivot in this hobby or you're going to perish. And what I mean by that is it's not so much just having the card shop with maybe a trade day and a fun sale here and there. It's how else are you finding ways to move product and inventory and not just sit on stuff. And I know from just seeing it, stuff gets stale so quickly sometimes. So how are you finding ways to shift and move and get rid of things? Are you moving stuff through your online channels, right? Do you have a website? Is that website functional? Does it look good? I can't tell you how many card shop websites I go to, and I'm like, this looks like there's made on like Windows 3.1 or something, like, one of those old one-click mouse computers back in the day. So I think about, that's a huge part. And if those people don't pivot soon, they're just going to go into debt, or they're going to have to sell their businesses. There's a world of breaking that we talked about. I think Topps has even recognized us as being a hybrid card shop. They've recognized us at these conferences as being one of the leading hybrid card shops in the nation. And you got to be that now. You got to have a breaking aspect, and you got to have a consumer-facing aspect. So those things are a must. And then there's the whole world of like singles, single cards. That's a whole world that people don't realize how important card shows are. Buying and selling cards, also grading cards. If these things are not offered in a shop, people go elsewhere, or they just go online, or they go find a group submitter. We had one of our guests, KK Sports Cards. Awesome guy from Tampa, Kyle. 1 million cards he did last year. Think about that. That's 1 million cards that didn't go to other shops that people are sending from all over the country. So there's things that I think are changing very quickly, and as we move into 2025. If you're not pivoting as a card shop, Jeff, unfortunately, I don't know how long you're going to survive.
Yeah. Well. We will survive, and we have survived again through 27 episodes so far. So many great guests throughout. So we'll talk about some of those in case you missed them. Certainly a lot of knowledge has been thrown your way over those episodes, and we'll also talk about you sparked my interest a little bit with some giveaways.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's give some stuff away. That's what it's all about. We'll do that when we come back on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast inside of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We're here in the podcast room. It's been a great place, and even over the holidays, they'll have a whole bunch of people, a lot of cool drink specials coming out here as well. So if you're in Gainesville, stop by Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. It is awesome, and this looks awesome. And we talked about some giveaways. Yeah, it's almost softball size.
Let me see. Could
change up grip?
You could have a change up on this thing?
You couldn't do the splitty, though.
Oh, my goodness.
That'd be a little tough. Knuckle curve.
If somebody wants to try and hit Jeff, we can set this up.
Still get that, but this looks cool. So again, you talked about fanatics and all the creativity and different things going on. This is actually a Topps, red and green. It's got Christmas trees on it, so perfect for that stocking stuffer. Yeah,
I actually dropped this one, so it's a little dent. So whoever wins this one, you're gonna get the dented one. But these are just the ornament, they call them the holiday tins, actually.
Okay.
So there's some cool parallels that we'll have. So we're gonna give away 2 of these. We're also going to give away some stuff from guests that we've had. So we've had Javi Lopez from the Atlanta Braves. He signed a bunch of stuff for us at our Upstate Card Show. So we're going to give away a couple autographed baseballs from him. We're also had an awesome time with Caleb Dressel. Some really cool Gator swim caps that he signed. And I was just able to get them JSA all authenticated. So we're going to give away a couple of those as well. So I think we'll have 6 presents as part of our giveaway. And what we want to do for everybody is just make it simple. From now until the end of the year, so you have until the 31st, all you got to do is make a comment on our Facebook post for this podcast, or our YouTube post for that podcast, or I'm going to make an Instagram post as well. So here's what you got to do. You got to get to the actual video, and you got to tell us what your favorite episode was out of our first 27 episodes of 2024. Okay. And we're going to talk about those 27 episodes here in a second, but there's 6 prizes, so that's a good chance.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you don't have to be following and sharing it with your grandma and all the things that they want you to do on giveaways. Just comment, let us know what your favorite podcast episode's been, maybe a guest, and we'll pick our favorite 6 responses. So the longer you make your post or your comment, the better. All right, so that'll be something that we do on Facebook, on YouTube, and then we'll have an Instagram post and maybe a Twitter post where you can comment on those as well, and then we'll take a look, and Jeff and I will determine who wins. But we got these ornaments, or these tins that you can celebrate with. We got autographed Javi Lopez items, and we got autographed Caleb Dressel items. We'll put those on screen so you can see those as well. But it's been a fun little run for 27 episodes, man. I come to think of it. And
you think about the first one where we just mentioned Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Steve Spurrier himself, certainly Mr. Florida football, everything that goes a part of it. But you just think about, you won a Heisman Trophy, but just how great of a coach he was and what he did not only for the University of Florida, but just college football in general. He just really changed everything and changed the lives of so many people. And we'll get Chris Doring in the future. I mean, you think about one catch completely changed the dude's life, and that's what Spurrier did. And it's almost like we changed his life when you pulled out some of those cards of him punting. He was so excited to see those, and there's only a few of them in the world that are graded a certain part. So that kicked off our first one. Then we had Andy from Indy Card Exchange. Dr. Kevin Farmer was the SEC Physician of the Year. So even like doctors, they're collecting cards, doing different things.
His wife came in the shop recently, and they bought some stuff, and I was just joking with her, and just great people. And you forget who we've had on this show. It's been awesome.
Yeah, we had Jimmy Spence from JSA. That was a big one, and then Andy from Waxstat. Those were the first 5.
Yeah, so. Big Al from Waxstat. Yeah, he came on and shared a little bit with us about just all the things that he's doing, you know. And so it was a good kind of intro into the first 5 episodes. And then we ramped it up a little bit. Episode 6, we got Matt Laporta, former SEC Player of the Year. Just really cool talking with him. I remember talking to him about his superfractors and just to enjoy how much he had with cards. You know what I mean? It was cool.
He was our first Olympic medalist, and then we've had like a gazillion. He started He started it off well. Ryan Bannister from RBI Crew shared a little bit right before the National. So that was, it's funny thinking about these times going back because that was such a crazy week. Mm-hmm. And I remember Ryan just interviewing him and how busy he was, his love for wrestling. It's cool to see. A shout out to Ryan and RBI Crew. They've done amazing things with their website and online sales. They're truly a hybrid shop breaking, but they, I think, are really moving into the wrestling space. So they're going to be doing, I think, wrestling breaks soon more, and I'm excited to see that. We had Chris McGill from Card Ladder come on, which was an awesome podcast. If you hadn't a chance to watch that one and you don't know about the tool Card Ladder, it's something that I'm using at both of our shops all the time. It's something that we put a lot of effort into and we train employees on because it's such a valuable tool. And and everyone always tries to talk to me, what's this worth? What's this worth? Go figure it out on Card Ladder. It's so simple. So awesome time. And then, of course, episode 10, we had Nate Flesher from Fanatics Collect, which has just grown a ton. We've talked about the Sotheby's auctions and the things that they've developed with Fanatics Collect, the levels of cards that are selling now, which is pretty wild to see. So that brought us to episode 10. Yeah, it certainly did. And then 11 kicked in some of the sports broadcasters. Laura Rutledge, of course, you see her all over NFL Live, and she's on the sidelines now, it seems like, for every big game. And married a baseball player, an athlete that played in the majors, 2 rival colleges.
She's got a kid who knows how to pick games.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember about that episode is the Jane Daniels thing. We asked her about the best quarterback, and she was all about Jane Daniels. Yeah. So she knew.
He is the most out of all of them, right?
His cards are way higher than anybody else.
Yeah, as you do that. And then we had Matt, UFC fighter. And that was really cool, too, because we sit there and we talk about some of the professional athletes. Obviously, UFC is that. But I think he was the most excited to see his face on a card and collect and do those types of things. And, you have this image of a wrestler, just these just dudes that are just going to destroy you. And then they're like the nicest people in the world, and they care. And he was such a family guy, and everybody else. So, that one was certainly awesome. Then we had Chris Burke from MLB Network and ESPN. Does a lot of games, and he was on the field when Roger Clemens is pitching, and tell some stories about some of those games. So that's fascinating in itself. And now just getting to be around all these athletes, and obviously we talk about Paul Skeens a lot, and he's in the locker room last year with Skeens, and they're just going over pitches and doing different things. So that was great. And then I think the one with Zach and Pokemon was really cool because I've never played Pokemon. I couldn't tell you how to do it and all this, but then it made me want to go out and try this, and then come into the shop and I see you giving away cards to kids and asking them how to play it. So that was a lot of fun. And then you already mentioned KK Sports Cards, but Kyle's just incredible what he's doing. And I think that's when I started to get even more of an appreciation for this industry and just all the great things that are going on and how nice the people are in it. Yeah,
Kyle. I mean, we think about all these different names that we brought up, and it's been so fun to just consider the variety of it all, right? And we're going to do more of that in 2025, where we want to bring solid guests. And speaking of another solid guest, episode 16 and 17 were just these, and 18. I'm looking right here, back to back folks that were just awesome. 16, we had Josh Luberon, founder of StockX. Ghostwrite, we talked about when he worked for Fanatics. Ghostwrite just dropped. We have sales literally starting today on Whatnot with Ghostwrite. It's there's a $30,000 bounty out for the 101 Caitlin Clark. Wow. And again, he showed us all that on that podcast. It was an awesome podcast. Make sure you guys check that one out.
Well, and I saw over the weekend, just I guess as we're getting close to Christmas, but StockX commercials. Yeah. I'd never seen that just on a broadcast before. So it's really cool, and it's got the little X, and it says verified. And
see, remember I told you it was verified? So I know we don't have our Titan MRI segment today, but we'll have some more good rapid fires where we come with some one-liners. Episode 17, you got to. I mean, everybody always asks me about this one. They say, is Michael Collins really that crazy? And I said, yeah. That man starts singing Eagle songs in front of me, and he's just a ball full of life and an amazing, amazing testimony and working hard. If you haven't seen that episode, please go back and listen to it, watch it. Michael Collins, I think, is just an example of someone who just grinds, who works hard, and has created a niche for himself and put himself out there, sharing stories about Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, sharing stories about Ken Griffey Jr. And
it's always real with him, and I think that's authentic. The coolest part. There's nothing that he holds back. He understands how hard he had to work, where he came from, and just the grind of what it was. And I think back when I grew up, it was, unless you were like this supermodel looking person, guy or girl, that's the only way you can get on television. Yeah. And I mean, Mike will tell you, gosh, I'm on TV too, and I'm ugly, but he will tell you that he's certainly not a good looking dude, but it's the personality. Sure. And it's just, you make people laugh. I mean, there's so many dudes out there that outkick their coverage. They're ugly, but they're funny. Yeah. So the ladies like them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's got it all. He's got it all. That guy. It's all wrapped up into that 5'4" frame of Michael Collins. Awesome dude. And then right after that, the Gator basketball team is continuing to crush right now. Todd Golden was on. He brought all of his PC basketball cards. We had a chance to look at his Victor Wembanyama PSA 10 autographs. Just talk basketball with him, which is, I think, talking basketball with him that day and cards, you realize why the Gators are successful, the systems they've set up, and really looking forward to seeing how the Gators run into 2025.
Yeah, top 10 now in the country.
Yeah, just amazing run, right? Clayton's looking like a real first-round NBA guard type pick, and just exciting to see that. 19, of course, the Card Father came on, shared about his new card shop in Burbank. If you haven't seen that episode, it's really exciting to kind of see the innovations in the hobby industry. He shared so much of that. And then speaking of innovations, episode 20 with Kick Stradamus,
that was cool.
My friend Sal, just a really down-to-earth guy who's built an incredible empire for himself, and then he came to the Upstate Card Show, made these special cards for us, and he started just by designing shoes and making some cool things, some cool art. He put his practice, his craft, and then he put it out there, started doing the live sale, started getting involved. And that guy has got an incredible future. Thrill Joy was a product that just came out where they put him as one of the guys involved with Thrill Joy. It's like the new Funko. And I'm just so excited to see what happens with Kicks and the future for him. So that was a fun conversation.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And it made me there's a Nike outlet here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, so I went over and bought a cheaper pair just because I knew I'd screw them up. But, and then I put them outside and got some orange and blue paint, and I just threw it at it just to try to look cool and see if I could design a cool shoe. It didn't work as
I was going to say,
Kickster
did you donate that to Goodwill? Or?
Yeah, it was just, here you go. So, but it's just fascinating on what he does and just the amount of people he's done it for and what he can do. It's pretty special. And then we had 3 straight athletes right after that. Javi Lopez, of course, where you can win those items. Again, comment on that one.
So great.
Just
Such a nice guy.
Favorite growing up. And obviously there's so many Braves fans from TBS back in the day. And he's there catching 3 Hall of Famers over the years. So great stories from him. And then Brady Singer from the Kansas City Royals, now on the Cincinnati Reds, gets traded after we
Gator for Gator.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, trading with Jonathan India. But, Brady's, I think, still to this day, my favorite Gator to ever broadcast, just from just the resiliency, the attitude, the care, the want to win.
Fire, right?
Yeah, that's what being an athlete.
His rain meme is the best, Jeff.
Yes.
We just got to use that more often.
Yeah, you cannot beat that. And then Patrick Young's trying to beat so many things, just an unfortunate accident that has left him paralyzed, but he's not letting that bother him.
No, it's not defining him at all.
I mean, you're talking about a dude that they called Superman. And he's just how jacked he was, and, again, how hard he played and the different things. So great episode just to let everybody know about challenges in life, trying to overcome them, and what you can do. So that was awesome. And then we had Clint Anderson from Zion Cases. That was awesome too. You've had some issues with cases this year and gone viral with that. So just it's amazing just what you can do. Think of an idea, try to formulate it, make it happen, and then you never know what can blow up.
Yeah, and now he has the niche for all of those cases. Remember, use code, I think it's Meelypops or Meely10 or something like that. You get a discount on any of those cases. And then just rounding it out, we had 26-27, Tom Hart, SEC Network, ESPN. The one interview I didn't get a chance to be a part of, but he shared a little bit about his roots with the STL and Missouri, and I just had some awesome stories. If you haven't even caught that, great interview too. I thought, I don't know if you ever caught this on our YouTube or Facebook. He had the clearest video out of everybody. I'm not sure, he must have some high def going on up there.
He's got all those ESPN COVID stuff still in the house.
He's got all that figured out.
Yeah, they were broadcasting games from their basements.
Right.
So I mean, that's the way it was throughout COVID for a couple of years. So having to do that, I think. Imagine trying to broadcast a baseball game like that, because you can't see the outfielders, and it's hard to judge a fly ball, and you don't know how to do that. So very very tough, but those guys made it through. Yeah,
and I mean, speaking of another guy too who's been tough, was episode 27 last week, Ryan Lochte, and just you saw it in his eyes. How he's just a guy who loves life. He's appreciating life, but was just a fun interview, and a lot of real nuggets in there, just about training and life and pushing oneself, and hearing those stories with him and Phelps, and hearing those stories about trading cards and Usain Bolt and all these things that he shared with, and the struggles that he had too. He's very honest and transparent about that. So that wraps up the 27 episodes, but we were able to do it, and I think. We want to make these episodes worthwhile to everybody. It's a hobby podcast. We're always going to bring it back to the hobby. But these 27 episodes have been a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to 28 and on, moving into to next week in 2025.
Yeah, so go out there, comment on your favorite of those 27. Again, you have several options social media-wise to go out and do that, and you've got a chance to win some cool swag. And Jameel will get those sent out with Jeff and Meredith. You'll make them busy.
Yeah.
Or than they already are. For shipping everything out. All right, we'll take one final break. We'll come back and give you a whole nother segment here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. All right, we welcome you back. Our holiday edition of the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff and Jameel here with you, and always in that third segment, we talk about some new wax. I'm sure there's different things going on.
Well, speaking of new wax, I'm going to grab my backpack here before we get into it. We can't have a holiday episode without a gift, Jeff. So I've got something from the archives here, and I want you to take a look at it. This is a early Christmas gift for you. I got a baseball here, and I want you to tell me if you know anything about this baseball. See what you can recognize on this baseball. This came from
Josh
the
Fogg,
Artifacts.
Bragg Wilkerson, Ben Grivlowski, Gary Henderson.
He's looking intently, guys.
This is like 98 Gator baseball.
Yeah.
Wilkie, Greg Catalanote. Ah, there's me.
There's Jeff Cardozo. There he is. There's an autographed ball from the 98 team. Shout out to one of our customers in shop. Travis Grant brought this by, and he goes, I think Jeff's on this baseball.
Yeah.
I think it's his team ball. I said, sweet, man. I got to give that to him. I don't know if he has one. He might have a few of them, but this one is pretty cool. What year is that?
Yeah, it'll be 98. Lopes right there, the coach, right? That's where the coach is supposed to sign.
Yeah.
And then I remember when we had to do stuff like that. But yeah, you've got the pitching coach, the hitting coach, and I mean this team was incredible. You had David Ross on this team, and Rick Eckstein, David Eckstein's brother, was one of our assistant coaches. Josh Fogg, of course, who we'll need to get on here, and pitched in a World Series game. So there's not many people that have been able to do that. He got roughed up with the Rockies, but he still got to do it. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, check that out, man. Merry Christmas.
Really cool.
There's a baseball. I don't know if you had one or not, but I figured I wanted to keep it for my PC so I could have a Jeff Cardozo autograph. But I figure I could probably get one of those in the future. So
yeah, we'll make it happen. That's
sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Of course.
Appreciate that.
That shout out to the Meelypops community bringing that in. I was like, this got to be a Christmas present.
Yeah, really cool.
So, but regarding new wax and things coming out, there's again a plethora of stuff. One of the big releases this week is actually a non-sport release. It's called 92 Marvel Masterpieces, and it's a redo of the old Marvel cards from the 90, but they've created these, I think they're chrome precious metal gems, and I have a feeling this set's going to be extremely sought after because it's this nostalgia of Marvel, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Iron Man, Hulk.
I think Silver Surfer was like the one card, right?
Yeah, there were some special cards. Yep, Silver Surfer had some special cards, but the artist, it's really based on the artist, like Andrusco and these guys that did these arts for these cards is so iconic. Well, now we have this. It's fast forward 30 years later, and you're going to have precious metal gems of these cards. Precious metal gems are kind of like the real sought-after insert in Marvel, and they're chrome-based, and they just look really nice. So that comes out this week, which I'm really excited about. We're going to do a lot of breaks for that. Ghostwrite, which I mentioned earlier, it's a product with these, collectible figurines, or if you want to call them toys, collectible designer toys. That came out this week, which I'm really excited to see with that $30,000 bounty on the Caitlin Clark stuff, how that's going to pan out. It's starting to sell on StockX. I saw the Aubrey Plaza one sold for $800 or $300, $400 recently. So these little tiny, collectibles that have been created. So that's a whole new world that's come out. UFC Gold Label is a big one this week. Topps Gold Label, which for UFC fans, they'll like that just because you're going to have a product with just kind of a uniqueness to UFC. We've been waiting for some more UFC. You have all of the Advent calendars, the Kaboom calendar that came out with Panini. You have the Topps one. Those are ones that we keep selling tons of those in the shop.
Nice.
We'll have to get Jeff one of those so we can open up all the little doors. But there's so much more wax. I think about hockey releases through Upper Deck as well this week. And, we have a lot of different products coming over the next few weeks, and we're going to be hit hard with them. But just remember, it's just because during this time there is a lot of selection. A lot of people want that stuff. And Bowman Draft, like I said earlier, it's still chugging along. I think that people are looking for more high-end baseball. You're starting to see a lot of people come to the shop and ask for those things. But the wax market is as hot as it's ever been. And I'm excited to see some of these releases. When you can get away from the sport sometimes and get into non-sports, or maybe Pokemon. Like last week, with Pokemon, we had this Japanese release. It was called, let me think of this. It's something festival. It's not Astral Fest. It'll come to me in a sec. Terrestrial Festival.
Okay.
But it's the Japanese version of the next English release, and so we get them early. So we had 50 boxes come in. We sold out in 4 hours. So, and I had to start limiting boxes. I almost got in a fight with a guy in the shop because he said, I'm going to buy them all. I was like, no, you can't. He's like, well, I have it for my stream tonight. I was like, you're not going to take all these boxes. We got people. So we have another 180 coming in this week that I've been scurrying to find. I have a feeling they're going to sell out before Christmas.
Wow.
That just shows a little bit about, just that non-sports world. So I talked about Marvel today, and I talked about Pokemon. Just remember, the card shops, and if you aren't, and going back to our first segment, pivoting into other ways to sell cards, getting involved in this stuff, swallowing your ego. I can't tell you how many card shops won't sell Pokemon because they think it's below them or something, you know, and they forget all the kids and things that brings in. So we've had just a very busy week with Wax, Jeff.
Well, certainly so. And we've had a busy, basically 6 months with all these guests, and we're going to get it going for 6 more months and then many more beyond that, just to hype in 2025. But we'll have one more episode next week. We'll wrap up the year in style and have a lot of great things. But again, go and comment on all of those social media outlets about your favorite guests that we've had so far, and Jameel will get that swag out there for you.
Yeah,
and be a nice little Christmas present, just like my
check that out,
Christmas
man.
present.
Yeah,
really, really cool.
Thank you guys so much for the support of the podcast, and we're just looking to grow it next year. We'll have, like Jeff said, episode 28, and then we'll have some recap episodes with some highlights for 2024 to close out the year, and then we'll start back up in January with new guests. But this has just been a lot of fun, man. The shop, I think, has grown tremendously. So many people have found the shop through our different mediums to think about starting a podcast this year. And I think I looked at our numbers. I think just from our giving, we were able to get like $22,000, $23,000 away to different charities and nonprofits through our Meelypops donor fund. And I think that's just another part of all of this, right? Is like we want to give back. We want to be about the community. I know, you know, with your radio show, you know, we have people that come in, you know, and they check out. We never talk about the tailgate, you know, and what you do on ESPN radio, but people come in from the radio show and they say, hey, I heard Jeff talking about you in prime time about college football, and I need to go shop at Meelypops. So great community thing. Our South Carolina shop, I haven't even mentioned that. We started that in February, right, this year. So it's been a great year, and looking forward to what comes along with 2025.
Yeah, certainly so. All right, well said. That is Jameel. I am Jeff, and you've been watching the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.